Joining me now is Vivek Ramaswamy, Ohio gubernatorial candidate and former presidential candidate. Vivek, I didn't even get into the energy exploration issue, but he's gotten so much accomplished in these last 3 months. What should be his next big move?
Well, look, the two things I'm most proud of, Laura, first of all, are the restoration of meritocracy in America. The idea that the best person gets the job regardless of their genetics, that lays the foundation. And the other thing I've loved of President Trump's early actions is sending back a lot of the excess D.C. programs to the states and to the people. The signature example was the U.S. Department of Education. But to your question of what he needs to do next, I would say when in doubt about the Washington, D.C. bureaucracy, when in doubt about federal government overgrowth, send it back to the states, send it back to the people. That's what our founding fathers envisioned. And I think that's one of the most underrated parts of President Trump's presidency, I think, coming up, is a restoration of federalism. The golden age for America is going to be a golden age for federalism, allows folks like myself and other strong governors across the country to be able to fill that void. That's the stuff of saving a country, and President Trump is doing a great job of reviving that groundwork for state control again, not just the D.C. bureaucracy.
Yeah, I love that. I love the DEI moves. And he also said, Vivek, that there's movement on this much anticipated minerals deal with Ukraine. Check this out.
And also, he said we could see a minerals deal signed this week. Is that?
Well, we have a minerals deal, which I guess is going to be signed on Thursday, Scott, next Thursday, soon. And I assume they're going to live up to the deal, so we'll see. But we have a deal on that.
Vivek, they want to bring money and revenue sources into the United States, and that's one of the ways they're going to do it. They have a whole platform that will make money for the American taxpayers.
Look, when it comes to our foreign policy, I don't think it should be a foreign concept, Laura, that the United States leadership looks after the interests of the United States of America. The only thing that makes me sad about this Ukraine conflict is had President Trump been the leader when this war started, had it even started under him, it would have at least quickly come to a conclusion with an early negotiation. The fact of the matter is the situation is a lot worse today, a lot more deaths on both sides than really could have been avoided had a better deal been done earlier. But if somebody's going to land this plane, I think it's going to be President Trump. And I think it's correct. I don't think it should be controversial. I think it's correct that he ought to look after the interests of the United States of America as he's doing in those negotiations.
Vivek, I want your take, and I'm going to get into more of this because it's so important, about what the Fed chair has been up to. Jerome Powell clearly scaring the markets yesterday on what President Trump's trying to do with some of these tariffs. Your reaction to that?
Look, this is just another symptom, Laura, of a deeper structural issue with the U.S. Federal Reserve. You got a bunch of academicians who took over the place in the late 1990s. And there's this concept of trying to hit two different targets with one arrow, inflation and unemployment. When you look at the last 30 years, they've done a disastrous job at both. What we really need out of the Federal Reserve is one objective: restore dollar stability, period. That's it. And the reason that investors around the world listen to the Fed, they get a false ego about themselves. The reason investors listen isn't because they have some unique wisdom. They don't. It's because investors are just looking to see how they're possibly going to screw it up next. And that's the dirty little secret on Wall Street. And so I just think we have a lot of employees at the Federal Reserve who don't really need to be there. Dollar stability should be the sole goal. Simplify expectations for the market, and you'd actually do a lot less damage than this sort of voodooism that's emerged in the last 25 years. And I do think there's a chance to put it to an end.
All right, Vivek, great to see you. Good luck out there on the trail. All right, well,